Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be super exciting. All of you have used Google Maps in your life. So as you're aware that in Google Maps, for each places, there are people who write reviews about those places. You read those reviews when you are really not sure about that place. And by reading those reviews, you make your own decision. Like for business user, they read those reviews to improve their services. So in today's video, we are going to summarize those reviews in a visual way. With the help of Google API, we are going to collect all the reviews for a particular place. We are going to make some kind of aggregation to those reviews and make a collective corpus of the text which people wrote about that particular place. We are going to do some machine learning over it and create summary in form of a word cloud visual. It's going to be very exciting and very useful use case, which you can do it as part of your resume project. So without any ado, let me show you what's in there for us. There you go. Cell. You can provide the name of the location. Let me say the name of the location this time. Melbourne Cricket Club, right? And I'll say this is in Melbourne, Australia, right? And as I execute this, it's going to fetch all the reviews about this and it's going to give you a nice visual format. Atmosphere, stadium, game, food, watch, amazing, toilets, available ground. Okay, if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please do like this video. It helps me a lot to reach to the wider audience. Please do that. It's a humble request. Okay, let's begin. So before we jump dive and start writing our codes in Python, I would really like to establish some base for us. So those of you who are not aware about what is an API, let me quickly explain you about what is API in very simple term. Imagine that you are going to any restaurant and you are placing order, right? So once you place your order, waiter will go to the kitchen and will place your order to the chef and chef will prepare those dishes. And once the dishes are prepared, this waiter is going to pick those dishes and going to serve you. Now, imagine this entire process in form of application. So instead of customer, you become an application. Right now, we are using that application. So we are creating that application and we require certain data from Google Maps, right? So Google Maps is nothing but a kitchen. So we require this data at regular interval. Now, we cannot go and web scrape Google Maps every time. For two reasons. One, certain website which is explicitly prohibiting web scraping and they consider it an illegal activity and you will be penalized for that. Other reason that if you do a lot of web scraping, it's not stable and it's not consistent. So if you are using for commercial purposes, web scraping is not a good method to do about it. Rather than API is a legalized method and it's a very stable method to try and get the data from particular website in a cohesively manner, right? So we are going to use Google Maps API for this purpose. Okay, so now you understood about what is API. Let me show you in brief what is our algorithm or flow of work that we are going to target today. Okay, as you see on your screen, all of us have searched about locations on Google Maps. Once we do that, we find that there are a lot of reviews that people write about these places. So what we are going to do with the help of Google Maps API, we are going to collect all those reviews which is there about that particular locations. Once we collect these reviews, we are going to use these reviews and make it like a corpus of text, which we can use it with the help of NLP to create a nice visualization which summarize all the reviews. Okay, so let me take you through the Google Maps API and how to get your own unique API key. So now listen this very carefully. Go to your any browser and go to your Google search, type about Google Map API and search Google Map API. As you do that, you'll get this link called Maps Platform Google Developers. So you click on that. So here's the thing. Google API is a paid service, but Google also provides certain trial versions. So Google gives you around, I think, $400 of credit, which you can use it. And unless you are using it for commercial activity, like for our purpose, like education video, it is more than sufficient. So no need to worry. You can provide your credit card details. Unless you are exceeding that limit, Google is not going to charge you. So you need to do that. You need to follow a standard protocol of Google. And once you follow it, you will get your own API key. Right? Once you get your API key, you need to use that API key and please ensure that you provide some kind of restriction to API key so that other people don't use it and exceed your limit. It's very important. Okay. Once we do that, we are on Google platform. So you find different topics in here, right? And you find different documents in here. So there are APIs for different purposes. Right now, we are interested to get the API for Google Places here. So what we can do is we can go to this Places API and Software Development Kits, and you can click on the API button here. Once you do that, you are on this page. This is a documentation page for Google Places API. And you should probably see the left panel here and use the Using API Keys button, right? As you click on Use API Keys button and you scroll it down, at the bottom, you will find how to use your API key and standard URL for it. Now you can use this URL. Only thing you need to change this location part because we want it to be very dynamic. And you also need to change your API key here. So here is your API key. I'm going to put my API key. But once you register for Google Cloud Services, you can put your API key there and that will give you your access to this URL, right? So I've copied this URL. Like this is a Places URL. Similar to this, there is a Reviews API. For our ease, I have copied those URLs here in my note and I have Places URL, I have Reviews URL. I also copied my API key here. I'm going to post this URL along with the code book so that you can use it and need not to search about it. But this is for your information. Great. So we are on our Python notebook and we are going to start writing the codes. So first thing first, we are importing libraries. So we are going to use today a couple of libraries like request library, which we're going to make a URL request and get the data of that particular web page. We are going to also import JSON, and then we are going to use word cloud library, and from word cloud we are going to use import word cloud to generate word cloud. Now if you don't have word cloud library installed in your system, you will get the error. So you can install this library with help of this code. You can write pip install word cloud and with internet connection on, and you should be good by installing this library. I'm commenting this out for now, right? Because I have this library installed in my system, right? And I'm also going to import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt, right? And once we import this library, we are good to go, right? So let's begin. Our first step is to get the location input from user. So user will go and type about that location, right? So we need to get location detail first. So let's do that. So what we're going to do first, let me declare my API key because that's important. So let me type this, declare API key. This is a unique key. So this is my key. You should use your own key. If you try and use my key, it won't work for you, right? So let me copy my key here and paste it here. So this is pretty much my API key here, right? I'm going to ask user for location input, right? So location input. So I'm going to say location is equal to input, and I'm going to say enter the name of the location, and that's it. We are good to go. That's a location input, right? Once we have a location input, we can see what the location appears to be, right? So we can say print location. Let's see how does it work. It gives us this prompt called enter the name of the location, and we can say, let's say Seat and Tower, Toronto, and that's it. It will print the Seat and Tower, Toronto. So location will save the location detail from the user. Once we get this location detail, what we wanted to do is we need to provide this location detail to Google Map and fetch all the details which is there for this location on Google Map, right? So what we are going to do is we say that place URL, right? And place URL is what we have here, right? Ready-made link which Google has given us to use it, and let me put it here. So I'm using f-string here, basically this is a URL. Only thing why I'm using f string here is because I'm going to provide my location here as an input. So it will be specific for that specific location because link will be different for each location. So I'm providing this location under the curly braces here. And I'm also providing key is equal to my API key. Now you should provide your own API key. So once you provide your own API key here, it's go and get the details like places URL for unique URL for yourself, right? So once we have a place URL, what we can do is we can type response is equal to requests. And we are saying that request get, and we say that go to places URL. So go to that particular URL and get this detail. So once we have a response details, right, we can store this under place data. Once you have place data, we can call JSON, right? And we can load this data as in JSON format. And we can say that response, right? And from response, we wanted to store content, right? So it will go to that web page, get all the details in that web page, and those details, we are going to store it as in JSON object, and that will be our places data, right? So places data is basically all the data which is there against that particular location. For example, CN Tower as we see, right? Once we have this data, what we really want is a place ID, right? So how we are going to get the place ID, but let me show you how does the code work so far. So let me enter it here. Once I enter it, let me type CN Tower, Toronto, Canada. As I do that, right, it's executed the code, but let me show you what's there in the place data. So let me copy this and show you what's there in place data. So once you do that in place data, you have different things. So you have candidates, your place ID. So each place will have that unique ID in Google. So what we want is this place ID, because with the help of this place ID, we're going to fetch reviews for each individual location, right? And status is okay, so we are fine with that. So our code is working fine till now. So we have the place data, we have place ID basically. So we want to fetch that place ID. So what we're going to do, we say that extract place ID, right? And here we say that we did previously this thing, we say that get the place data, right? And we say that extract place ID. So how do we extract place ID? We say that place ID is equal to, we say that go to place data, and from place data, it's, as you see in the place data, let me show you here. So as you see the place data, you see that it's stored under candidates. So it's a dictionary basically. So dictionary, you have your index that is candidates, right? And against that candidates, you have a list, right? And in that you have place ID. So we really want that place ID, right? So what we are going to say that when we say place data, and we're going to call this, say, candidates, right? It's going to give us this place ID, right? So let me copy this and put it here, right? And we want this place particular ID. So from here on again, we're going to say, pick up the 0th entry in the list. So as we do 0th entry in the list, right, it's going to pick only this part of it. And from this, again, we can call like place ID, right? And that will give us the place key, right? So this is particularly the code that we are going to put it here for place ID. Once we do that, it's going to store that place ID for the user input for that particular location, right? Okay. So once we have that ID, we are going to fetch reviews about the location from Google Maps, right? So how do we do that? So now we have a place ID and we do have URL for getting the reviews, right? From a Google API, right? So what we are going to do here is, let me copy this reviews URL here and let me paste it here, right? So that is my review URL. And that is again an F string because we're going to provide this unique place ID that we fetched just now. And we are also going to provide our API key without which this URL won't work. And this will be a specific URL for each person like for each user and for each location, right? So this has to be f string where it will be unique. So once we have this review URL, what we're going to do is we are going to fetch the data from that particular web page. So what we're going to do is we write a response is equal to, so I'm saying requests dot get, and we say reviews URL, right? So it will fetch all the details and store under a response. And here what we are going to do, we say that reviews underscore data. So it will store all the reviews data here. And again, we are calling JSON loads, and we say that load response dot content. So it will go and fetch all the content from this URL web page and store it with the help of JSON library under the reviews data, right? So let me execute this and show you how does it work. So if we type again, let's say, again, same, let's say CN shower, Toronto, Canada. As I execute that, it's got executed, and let me show you how does this work. Let me delete this cell, not required. And let me show you what's there in reviews data, right? So let me put the reviews data and execute this. So as you see the reviews data, you have different reviews in here. You see there is this first review about that location, which is given 4.6 as a rating, where Carl Zucker has written this, and it's written in English, right? And they've written about this text. Now, this is particularly text which we are interested in. This is the review part of it, right? So we are not interested in rating because we are just trying to fetch the qualitative review that person has given. So it's written that great place for anyone visiting Toronto or even staying here, blah, 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 blah. So this first review, and then you have multiple reviews here, but all under the text tab. So in dictionary, you find the index as a text. Against text, you have this review. So what we really want is this text, right? So we have this reviews data under this object, and we're going to fetch those text now. Let me take it to the next step. So what we're going to do now is to extract the text of reviews, right? So let me show you. Let's again see the reviews data. So you find this HTML attribution, it's a blank list, and then you have a results, and that's a dictionary. So practically our text is there in this result area, right? So we need that result index. So this is our reviews data. We are going to call this result index, right? As we call result index, we only get the required reviews, but still it's all name, rating, reviews, and reviews. You have a list. Within reviews, you find there is a text, right? So we still wanted to have this reviews. So again, we are going to call this reviews as an index. So as I do that, we only get the reviews. We get the author name, author URL, language, original language, profile photo, rating, and text. Okay, so we got all the reviews in here, right? All the reviews. Now, there is a limitation. There are certain very famous places where you have so many reviews. Now, if you're going to collect all the reviews, there is some amount of processing time. So I do not want to waste my time. So I just wanted to see the top maybe 30 reviews. So I need to declare that how many reviews I want. So I'll write that number of reviews we want, right? And we say that we want 30 reviews at max. So we say that num underscore reviews is equal to 30, right? So it's going to pull only the top 30 reviews. Once we have this num reviews, since we have all these reviews, we can say that, okay, you pick up all the reviews till the 30th index location. So took from 0 to all the way to 29. So pick the top 30 reviews for us. Once I do that, it's going to pick up only the top 30 reviews. If I just say, just pick up till the top 2 reviews, it's going to pick just 2 reviews, like 1 and 2 here. So we're going to copy this, right? And we say that paste it here. And here we want up to 30 reviews, right? And let me copy this, and let me say this reviews is equal to this, right? So that will be, we can write it like num reviews here instead of 30, right? Or you can just write 30. That's anything is okay, right? So once we do that, this will store our reviews. Okay, once we have reviews, what we want is basically extracting this text. So we say that extract words from each of the reviews, right? So how we're going to do that? We say that first, let's create a blank list. That's our word list where we're going to store all the words here, right? And then we say for each review in reviews, right? And we are say that text is equal to review. And from review, we are going to call this text, right? So text is basically our index location. So we say that from review, call text, right? So for each individual review, it's going to collect that text. So that will be stored as a text. And once we have text, those are sentences, right? So we need to break it into the words. And it's going to store each of the words in the words, the list that we created, right? So we say that words dot extend. And here we are going to say text and split, right? So split the text and with each spaces and use those words and store it in the words list. So now our words will have all the reviews broken down by word, and it is having the list which will contain all the words, right? And it will go in loop for all the 30 reviews that we picked up, right? Okay, once we have those words, we need to join those words to make a single string. So how we are going to do it again, we say that text is nothing but join with the help of space here. And we say that words, right? So we say that use each of the word, put the space and join it and create the entire corpus of all the reviews, not just one review, right? So that's why we are doing it repeatedly. So we broke it first words, we pull down all the words from all the reviews and then again joining them with the help of space between each of the words, right? And that will be our text, right? So let me show you how does the code work so far. And let me execute this again, going to type same name of the place, right? And as I do that, it got executed, right? And let me delete this review self here. And let me show you what's there in text. So as I type text here, it's going to give us all the words there, right? And as you can see, these are practically all 30 reviews stored word by word. So we have the words from each of the reviews now. Now it's practically how do we visualize this words, right? So let me show you how we do that. So let's call this word cloud. And word cloud, we're going to call this library, our method, word cloud here. Okay, so let's make more visually appealing. So we are going to put this background color. Let's say it's a mint cream color. Now you can try many options, and then you need to provide width. Let's say width is 1500, and let's say you need to provide height. Let's say height is 1000, and you also need to provide color map. Right, default is weirdest, but yeah, let me mention it nonetheless. And let's say max word that we need to include in our word map because I don't want my visual to be too wordy. So let me limit it to 50. And once we do that, we can say that generate with the help of, we need to provide the text, right? So that's our text that we created here, right? Once we do that, the word cloud will be generated, but it's all about displaying word cloud, right? So how do we display word cloud? So we say that plt dot figure, and we're setting up the fixed size, let's say 12 by 8, and that should be good enough. And then we say that plt dot image show. So we'll say I'm show, and we want to show this word cloud here. And we say that interpolation is equal to bilinear, right? And plt dot axis is equal to, let's say we don't want axis here because it's more like a picture. And yeah, and we say that plt.show. And this should give us a nice visual. So let me show you, let me execute this cell. It asks for us for the location. We can provide any location. Let's say, let's provide some different location. Let's say we type Taj Mahal in Agra, UP, India, right? And as I enter it, it's going to take some time. It fetch all the reviews and going to create a nice visual for us. So he says that spectacular, absolutely different, must tour, time, architecture, local, it's about India, great, guide, nice, well, copy. So all these things, those people who have written about reviews, it's summarized, and the bigger is the word, that means it is being most often used by the people. This is a slightly bigger visual. If you want to adjust your visual, you can do that. Probably you can try and reduce this height. Let's say I wanted to use heights 600. You can use it like this. Okay, let me put it 600 here. Okay, in case if you want to change the height, you can do it and try and run it again. So let me show you one more time. As I execute the cell, you can provide the name of the location. Let me say the name of location this time, Melbourne Cricket Club, right? And I'll say this is in Melbourne, Australia, right? And as I execute this, it's going to fetch all the reviews about this and going to give you a nice visual format, atmosphere, stadium, game, food, watch, amazing, toilets, available, ground, clean, best, and so many words are there. You'll get a positive feeling about this particular place. Now, whether you are a user or whether you are a owner of that business location, you will get a lot of basic insights from this visuals. I hope you like this video, and I'll see you next week with one more interesting Python project. Till then, bye-bye, take care.
Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.